Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going down, brother? You all right?
Pass me all your work.
Not all of it, just the stuff I don't want to do. That's what you always tell me to do. So, Tim, I had an interesting situation happen this morning. I got up a little earlier. I just woke up earlier than normal. Granted, I get up really early for most people. So I'm down here doing my morning routine. I've got a 1,300 square foot, basically basement with windows. It's like partially underground, partially not. And I'll get into that in a minute. But I'm down here doing my morning routine, doing my thing. I walk upstairs, see my wife on the couch, our other couch up there. And she's got her headphones in and she just does not look happy. Okay. She does not look happy at the situation. Give her a little wave, grab some water, come back down, back into my morning routine. Now, as I'm doing more of my morning routine down here, I'm doing some stretching. I hear our baby, who's now 1 year old, crying. And I hear my wife walking up to get the baby. So now I'm like, okay, her morning routine is now stopped, right? I know that. So she's not going to be able to do what she wanted to do in the morning. So, as you know me, I naturally feel a little guilty about it. She's having to do that. I'm down here stretching, etc. I know you don't feel guilt, Tim, but I always do. Etc. Then all of a sudden I hear the door open. Coming down. What?
It's the shotgun.
Yeah, I know. Coming down the door, coming down the stairs, and I can hear the baby is my wife, and I'm still stretching. And she walks over to where I am and just stands there. And I'm stretching. I look over and say, good morning, and talk to my daughter as I continue to stretch. My wife looks at me and says, can you take her? I want some time to do what I want to do. Now, the old me would have said, oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course I'll get her, right? You take care of the kids all the time. Happy to do so. It's 5:30 in the morning. No problem. I'm not talking to Tim till 8. So I got plenty of time. So the old me would have grabbed her, done it, and gone right to it. What I'm going to say here right now is that most guys that we talk to that come to the program would do the same thing. Now here's the change, right? So the old me, old Doug, totally dropped everything, dropped what I was doing, come out of my stretching routine that I was doing, grabbed my daughter, walked upstairs, allowed my wife the space, played with my daughter, got breakfast ready, done all those things my wife traditionally does for the family so she could have time for herself. I looked at her and said, no. And she looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, no, I'm actually in the middle of stuff right now, but I'll actually be done with the things that I want to get done in about 15 minutes, and I can come up and help. And I'll give you a break, and then I'll just come back down a little bit later. And so the point of bringing this up is twofold. One is the old me, and maybe some of the guys listening to this can relate, would have dropped everything for her so she could do her morning and have her time at the sacrifice of me and my morning and my time. Now, I'm guessing a lot of guys can relate to this. While I was with my daughter, right? So I did my own thing. I was with my daughter. My wife took 30 minutes, shower, do her thing, and then came back out. So while I was with my daughter, I was also stretching, playing, doing some stuff with my daughter. So it was all good. But my wife came back and it was obvious that she had more respect for me, right? And almost more admiration. In fact, she sent me a voice note basically to that effect. So I did not let her take the dominant role here. I did not let myself be sacrificed for her. Now, that's something I used to do, and something that a lot of us men think we should do. Yes, I will sacrifice me for the betterment of my wife, for the betterment of my family, for the betterment of my staff, for the betterment of my employees. I can take it. I can take that work on my shoulders. I'm strong enough. I'll do it so she's happy. But when you take a stand for yourself, as I did this morning, again, it's a small stand, but I think some guys can resonate with this that are listening to this. When you take that small stand, you do it respectfully, right? So, and I'll tell you guys how to do this. You will gain more admiration from your partner, you also gain more respect from your partner. Because until you respect your own time and your own self, why should she respect you? Why should she look up to you if you can't actually take care of yourself? So, Tim, I'm going to let you jump in here with some thoughts and some ideas on here because I saw you shaking your head over there, especially when I talked about the old me. And I'm also going to talk to guys about how to do this gracefully at the end of that.
Mm. It's interesting. I was speaking with one of the guys in the inner circle today, which is our high level mastermind, and he was kind of complaining. Well, not kind of. He was complaining about work, about his relationship, and I just said, "Look, stop complaining. Basically, you have a choice. If you've figured out that you're earning X amount of money in business, but that means that you can't work out, then don't make as much money and work out more. And just accept that you're not going to be as productive at work. Or if that isn't okay with you, then get up earlier. Or if you're too tired, then don't work. Point being is you've got a choice. Stop complaining. You've always got a choice. The ball's completely in your court. Same thing in your relationship. You figured something out, you're unhappy with something, cool. Have you communicated that? Are you going to choose to accept that or take a stand for what you want? If you're going to accept it, then stop complaining. So point being is he was self-sacrificing, putting everybody else's needs before his own, and then complaining that he was unhappy and tired. Well, of course he's unhappy and tired because he's doing things he doesn't want to do. And nobody's winning in that situation. And I said to him, hey, imagine how much better you'd be as a father. He said, yeah, but I'm a great father. I'm like, I bet you are. And do you think you might be an even better father if you were to wake up in the morning with a real excitement for the day, with energy and lightness? And you might be making less money, but not once have you said, when I ask you what you want, not once have you said more money. So, imagine being happier and more joyous and having the intimacy and everything that you want. Surely the kids would get even more of you, right? Well, yeah. So, point I'm making is, yeah, it's an easy trap to fall into. And I think the thing for me, I was reflecting on how I am with Amelia. And what I've come to realize is there's a fine line because in the past, I've maintained my own needs. And I think I'm good at this. And in the past, I've been too good to the point where I've just kind of been super ruthless and selfish. A little bit at times. And where that has come in is if we've got a previous agreement,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because obviously, take you and Erin, for example. If you guys would have agreed that this morning you were going to get Aspen at a particular time, and Erin comes in and you've not gotten her, cool. You've not honored your word. That can feed to like a truck, all that stuff. Cool. Maybe you might have taken her in that instance. I think you would have just got up and been there on time anyway. But if you guys hadn't previously agreed on it and Erin was the one that was going to be doing it, and then she then comes down and tries putting it obviously on you, and you've already made commitments and promises to yourself, then yeah, for sure, maintain that boundary. It's not your job to save Erin, quote unquote, from her problem, right? She gets to deal with whatever that problem is and, figure a way through it. And as a result, she'll have more respect for you and for herself. But a lot of guys get into that whole idea of wanting to save, right? Save the wife. Be the nice guy, save her. She doesn't need saving and she doesn't want saving.
Mm-mm.
Sure, maybe once in a while you might say to Erin, yeah, do you know what? Let's say it happens 14 days out of every 14, you might say 2 or 3 times, yeah, cool, or maybe once or twice. But you're not saying it 12 out of 14 or 13 out of 14. And they don't want you to do that either, right? So, respect comes from having a boundary. People respect the boundary. that's what they actually respect. And if there's no boundary, then you don't stand for anything, and then there's nothing to respect. And guys often say, well, how do I regain the respect and admiration? Well, you've got to take a stand for who you are and what you want. That by default creates a respect. The admiration can follow.
Exactly. And you can do it. So, guys, what you want to look at here also is in this example, right? One is I did help my wife, right? But I wanted to finish what I was doing. And I'll be honest with you, I had an intense urge to drop everything. Right. My natural reaction was, let me drop everything and save her. Oh, I got this. Right. And I had a whole story going through my head. You take care of the kids all the time. Da da da. You need your space. Totally get it. All of these things. But then there's the other conversation, right? Which was no, I'm doing something right now. And this something I'm doing is something I'm doing for me to better myself. And I'm not giving that up. Now, if it was an emergency, obviously, that's a different story. But the key here is, how do you do this gracefully, right? One is you draw that line in the sand. My wife, can you take our daughter, right? Can you take her so I can go do what I want to do, right? My response was no, right? But the key here is I also told her, no, I'm doing something right now. And I can help out when I'm done, which will be in about 15 minutes. Right. So
Mhm.
I'm giving her an end time. It's the same thing when someone says, you're talking to something with your wife, you're talking to her and you say, you know what? This isn't the time. That's not good enough. This isn't the time, but we can talk about this Friday night or Saturday morning. Right. So now there's an end to this conversation. You're closing the loop. I was also closing the loop. No, it's going to take me 15 minutes to finish what I'm doing. I can help later. Or I could just say, no, I'm going to be doing this for the next couple of hours. This is not the first time this has happened, Tim. Obviously, because what we do is serving business leaders internationally all over the world, we're working with guys in different time zones. There's been times in the past where my wife will say, oh, can you just take the kids for a little bit? I'm like, no, I've got meetings, I've got calls, we're doing consulting, et cetera, et cetera. Not going to be able to do it. I'll be done at 5 p.m., which is in 6 hours from now. Happy to help out then, right? Or not going to do it tonight. Just it's the way it's going to be. And you're going to garner more respect, guys, when you do that. This is not about being a jerk. This is just about honoring your own boundaries, as Tim said, and putting yourself first. So you'll hear, if you don't recall, go back. Tim's mentioned this many times. We've talked about this on many podcasts, how most guys have it backwards. They put their self last, right? There's a lot of descriptions in the Facebook group about the triangle, but most guys have it upside down where their self is last. You got to put yourself first, right? Put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then help those around you. It's the same idea. So, Tim, what are a couple things guys can do right now if they find themselves consistently dropping everything for their wives, or they think that they're in a pattern where they've been told that this is the way it should be?
Well, is that pattern serving you, right? And how is it showing up in other areas of your life? Because that's the reality, it will be. Chances are you do this in your business. Chances are you're overwhelmed. Chances are you take too much on. Chances are you start things and don't finish because you end up taking too many things. There's a story that will play out, right? So get clear on what that story is. Piece the pieces of the puzzle together so you can really see the cost of this. What is this costing you? Those missed workouts, how long has that been going on? Those late nights, how long has that been going on? Get clear on where you are and then understand why you're doing that. Most guys are going to do it out of a need to be liked, out of a need to feel significant because they're saving others. But really, all they're doing is then putting their happiness and significance on everything outside of themselves, which never works. They end up feeling drained and exhausted. And then just start to put your needs first. It really is as simple as that. I said to the guy earlier today, well, most guys don't know what the needs are. And that's cool. I get it. But once you know what your needs are, it's then a case of then asking for what you want and taking a stand for what you want. And if you are not taking a stand for what you want, then you can't complain when you don't have what you want to have. It's just the reality. No one's going to take a stand for you. Your wife isn't your mother. We've done an episode on that before. So if this is you, if this resonates, I strongly urge you to change it. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope.
And that's just it, guys, as well. Is what's going to happen is you're going to put yourself last. You're going to get drained and overwhelmed. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to friggin' erupt. You're going to explode. You're going to yell. And it's going to be over something seemingly small where the people around you are going to be like, what the heck? He's an asshole.
Mhm.
And that's going to make you feel depressed, sad, lonely, all of these feelings you don't want to do. And what most guys do is they say, I'm going to be a nicer guy. And they start doing more of the things that got them into this place in the first time. I did it. I did it early on.
Agonies. They end up in the 5 agonies, right? Go check out the podcast episode on the 5 agonies, No Man's Land.
Yep.
Just describes the exact process you fall into.
And it's what I did early on in my marriage too, right? We call it being deactivated, right? It's you just don't see it. Society tells you, okay, I'm just going to be a nicer guy, right? So you got to get activated, guys. Gentlemen, if this is your first time with us, go over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus and go ahead and pick up that Reignite cheat sheet. And of course, if you've been with us for a while, we would greatly appreciate if you just took a moment and leave a review wherever you're finding this: iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. Gosh, this podcast is everywhere nowadays, which is so cool. Love getting the feedback from you guys. Absolutely love it. But remember, stop dropping everything for your wife, right? This is your time, your life. You got one shot at this game we call life that you know about, right? Maybe more. We got one you know about for sure. And this is your time to get activated and really take charge. All right, gentlemen, have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.